Got a Photoshop question? Brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals, it's Ask Dave.
This week I'll answer a question from Mitch Hall, who asked that he needs to fit an image to a particular file size, not to a particular image size. Because image processor, you can say constrain it to 900 pixels or whatever, but he made a good point that some websites ask you to do it based on the file size, so the dimensions aren't as important as the size of the file. So the question really is there a way in Photoshop to constrain something to a particular file size? And here's a way you can probably do it most of the time. And I say that because if you have a very large image, you might run into a problem. I just should actually tell you what I'm doing instead of just doing it. I'm doing this by going to File and then Save for Web and Devices. And in this dialog box, the very bottom part is cut off. I mean, I'll move it up a little bit more. There we go. And normally what you do is in here you decide, for example, I want maximum quality. You can see what it's going to give you. You can also resize down to a particular size, like make it 50% of the original size. And down in the corner, it's now telling you what the file size is based on that. So that helps a little bit. But let's put it up a little higher for a second. And what if you say, well, I know that I need to constrain it down to a particular size, like maybe under 800K for sake of argument. So what I do is inside Save for Web and Devices, I go to this pop-up menu and choose Optimize to File Size. And then I put in the number, in this case 800. I'm going to tell it to use the current setting, so I still want it to be JPEG. And then I click OK. And it does some calculations and says, in order to keep it under 800K, as you can see down here, it's going to keep the quality very high, reduce the quality to 83, which is a little bit lower than it was before, but that's still pretty good. And that's based on the 80% scale I already did. So it's going to keep the physical dimensions the same size and then lower the quality setting. Now, needless to say, if for some reason you wanted to get it to a very small size, which would be very unusual these days to be worried about something like 100K. I know some people still do that. In this case, you can see now we're starting to lose quality because in order to make it that size from the size of the original, it's getting very low quality. So in a case like that, I think what I would do instead is try to make it physically smaller first and then go in and tell it to optimize to the file size. And now you see it's at least medium quality. So it's sort of the combination of the physical dimensions and constraining to a file size, and you can always see the size here. By the way, these other numbers at the bottom, which used to be more important, is download time based on what type of connection they have. But if someone's asking you for a specific file size, this is one of the simplest ways to do it. If you have a quick question you'd like me to attempt to answer here on Ask Dave, you can, if you're a Twitter user, you can go to @DaveCross and send me your quick question that way. Or right here on the Kelby TV website, you can look for the Contact tab, fill in the contact form, and once again, send me your question, and I'll do my very best to answer as many of them as I can. I'm Dave Cross. See you next time.